Welcome into One-on-One on Suddenlink Channel 112, live from Studio 318 here on the beautiful campus of Oklahoma State University, joined by Logan Mosier. I'm Reed Spencer. Luka Doncic is, we've got Mavs fans here. Everyone in the NBA, everyone is in on Luka Doncic. Last year, everyone was in on Trae Young. Obviously, he played down the road in Norman. Now he says the trade worked out for both teams. I want you, and if you believe that to be true, you can go along with it. But I would hope that you're going to debunk this lie that Trae Young told.
Yeah, it definitely did not work out for both teams. Luka Doncic has seemed to have turned the Mavs around in a different way. Trae Young, he's putting up good numbers. I think he will be a quality player. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think he'll have a career in the NBA, but he's not helping them win the same way Luka Doncic is helping Dallas win. Dallas fans have hope that there's another superstar there now. Now it's not just, for a while it was Dirk's still here, let's celebrate Dirk. Now it's all about Luka.
Right.
And in Atlanta, it might be all about Trae Young, but do you have hope that he's going to bring you a champion? I don't think Trae Young can be the best player on a championship team. I don't think he can win an MVP. I don't think he's that type of guy. I think Luka Doncic is that type of guy. I think he could eventually win an MVP and be your best player on a championship team. That guy's only 19 years old, and Trae Young's not much older. I think Trae Young, if he's 20, he's 20.
Yeah, he might be 19 as well.
So there's a chance they could both help their teams in the long run, but I don't think that trade can work out for both teams. I think Dallas definitely won.
Well, there's always a winner and a loser.
Right.
It may work out for the Hawks, but they may end up being the winner, which I don't think that'll be the case. But Luka Doncic is, the youngest player or first teenager ever to drop a 30-point triple-double. I mean, he's doing things. It looks like he plays the game like an 80-year-old man, how slow it looks like he plays the game. And yet he still gets to the basket. He plays really smooth. And if you're a Dallas fan, it's almost sentimental how, Dirk is passing the European torch of leading the Dallas Mavs.
Yeah.
And now the Dallas Mavs have a ton of organizational problems. They might be the worst organization in professional sports when it comes to ethically, morally challenged front office and ownership. They might be the worst. And that's saying a lot. But they have a good thing going with Luka Doncic. And if the Hawks could go back to that lottery night, I was just looking. They're redrafting the 2018 NBA or NFL draft. Who would have they drafted now? If they knew what they know now, do you think they still would have made that trade?
I do, only because the guy that runs the Hawks now is a former Warriors assistant GM, and he has a vision of building a Warriors out east. And he says Trae Young is his Steph Curry. I think 100 times out of 100, they either take Trae Young or trade for Trae Young. And I mean, look at this. That guy is 19 years old, and like you said, he moves around like an old man. He is not the most athletic, fastest guy, but he just plays the game at a different level. He played in the second best league in the world for a long time and dominated that league, won a championship there last year, won the MVP last year. I just don't see how the Hawks come out on top from all this.
So you're talking about they want to build a Warriors out east, which, I mean, it's big dreams, but it's a standard that every NBA franchise should look at and want to achieve.
Yes.
But I don't see Trae Young having the impact, and obviously Steph Curry is a liability defensively, as is Trae Young. I mean, they basically play one side of the floor. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel like, and maybe it'll turn out this way. He's still a rookie, not even 60 games in, but you're looking at it and you're thinking, Trae Young, just let him shoot.
Yeah.
Just let him. If we die that way, we'll die that way. With Steph Curry, although shooting is obviously what is earned him, and he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, you worry about so many other things, how he runs the offense. He can even drive to the lane at times and get buckets. You don't want to see him get to the line. I just don't see Trae Young having any career inside the three-point line.
Yeah, I mean, he's shooting 29% from three this season, and that was all anyone talked about last season at Oklahoma was how well he shot it. And he has shown flashes of the Steph Curry range, the way outside the arc kind of range, but it's hard for me to see it. I think he'll get better. Obviously, I don't think he'll be a career 29% three-point shooter. He is averaging 7.3 assists, though. I like that. John Collins has played really well. I think those two could become a really good duo. I don't know if they're good enough to win a championship yet, but I think they could be really good. We'll just have to wait and see. It will be interesting to see if Trae Young can kind of develop that same thing like you were talking about with Steph Curry, where he can go into the lane, finish with contact. That'll be a big thing if he can, build that upper body strength to be able to take those hits from some of those guys. Well, only time will tell, but I don't. It bothers me that he said it works out for both teams. I don't mind that he says it, because obviously that's something you gotta say. You can't be like, yeah, we got robbed.
Yeah.
Why would you take me?
Right.
You can't say stuff like that. But I just don't know if I feel like he believes it. I just don't know if everyone else believes it. And I would like to see what the rest of the Hawks organizations has to say about that.
I feel like Trae Young believes a lot of things. He probably believed that the Sooners were a tournament team last year too, or thought they should have been, and no one else besides the committee thought that. But the Hawks are sitting at 16-33. The Mavs are 22-27. So although it worked out for the Mavs, they're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
One other question about this that I would like to ask you, and I think it's a pretty easy answer, is Luka has Dirk.
Right.
And Trae Young has Vince Carter.
Yeah, that's true.
What relationship do you think is going to help one of the players develop more?
Definitely Luka and Dirk. Because, how do you remember Vince Carter today? Like, what do you think he is as a player? How do you remember his legacy?
Playing too long and dunking.
Right. What people seem to forget about, everyone remembers the dunks and how much of a fun guy he is now. People seem to love him now. But when he was traded, he was a nightmare to deal with in Toronto. He created a lot of problems there. Same when he left the Nets. This guy has not been known to be the 100% best teammate all the time, and I think that's changed. He's won the Teammate of the Year award before, and that's voted on by your teammates. So obviously he has kind of reversed that, but you've never heard anything like that about Dirk. Dirk has been super loyal to one organization, been a great teammate. He's fun in interviews. Everyone just has this image of Dirk, and I think that's who Dirk really is. And I think Vince Carter has become that, but I don't think he started out as that. So I don't know if Trae Young's going to learn as much from Vince as Luka's going to learn from Dirk. And one of them won a championship and one of them didn't. So
right,
and one of them won an MVP and one of them didn't. So
did Dirk ever win the dunk contest?
He did not. I don't think Trae Young's going to win that.
We all know that's the most important thing.
That's true.
Logan, is the dunk contest. And I think when you're looking at this, a big part of it is look at where they came from. The
Right.
Euro League. They're both from Europe. They've got that in common. He can, Vince Carter can't speak to the Hawks organization and the city of Atlanta like Dirk can the Mavs
Right.
and Dallas.
Right.
He knows Mark Cuban. He knows the organization. And he came from Europe. They're the same type of player. Vince Carter and Trae Young are not the same type of player as to where Dirk and Luka are.
Right.
So there's so many more things in common with Luka and Dirk, and you just have to think that Luka Doncic is in far and away the better situation now and probably in 5 years than Trae Young is.
Right. The Mavs know how to build a championship team. Like I said earlier, they've done it before. They know how to build around these guys. I don't think the Hawks organization necessarily knows how to do that. We'll have to wait and see. I think they have a good foundation to be a good team in the future, but we'll have to see if they can get another guy.
Well, there's a difference between being a playoff team
Right.
in the East and being the Golden State Warriors of the East.
Right,
So they
for
have
sure.
a long, long ways to go
For
because
sure.
they made the playoffs, 3 or 4 years ago. And
They won 60 games a couple of years ago and blew that up.
yeah, and they
they-
get bounced
yeah.
now. Well, they got bounced then. They can't get bounced now because
They won't make it.
they're not going to make the playoffs. So we'll get into the Lakers a lot in this next segment. Obviously, a ton of questions I have to ask about LeBron. But LeBron is returning tomorrow, or is expected to.
Yes.
The Lakers are 7-10 without LeBron James. Not getting into the trade rumors, is he a coach killer? All that's coming up next. But right now, what does LeBron coming back to this lineup mean for the Lakers?
It means they'll be a playoff team again. Right now, they're sitting outside the playoffs at the 9 spot, and they can't get any higher without him in the lineup. With him in the lineup, I think they'll obviously be a playoff team. They could maybe get their way back into one of those top 4 seeds where they get a home court advantage in the first round. But even with LeBron this year, without getting a guy like Anthony Davis, and we'll get into that plenty in the next segment, like you said, they're not going to make much of an impact in the playoffs. I do think it would be fun if they made it in as, say, an 8th seed and played Golden State in the first round.
Sweep.
I agree. It would be a pretty quick series, but I think it would be fun to see because, you know, LeBron versus the Warriors has been something everyone gripes about that we saw in the finals for too long, but I think it would be fun to see it one more time because you're not going to see that. I mean, never again will it be Cavs Warriors unless something crazy happens in the future. But
I seriously doubt it.
Yeah, I agree.
The 9-win
I can't
Cavs.
I can't see the greatly run Cavaliers. That's just a top-notch organization right there.
Oh yeah, Dan Gilbert.
Yeah.
Talk about Mark Cuban. Whoa, both of those guys. But they're
right
sitting
up there with James Dolan.
Well, James Dolan just doesn't care. These guys care a lot, almost too much, and they make mistakes. James Dolan cares more about his jazz band playing in Brooklyn bars than he does the New York Knicks. But the Lakers are sitting at 26-25. By the way, the Knicks are now officially last place of the Eastern Conference at 10-39, one game behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the Lakers 26-25, 2 games out of the 8 seed behind the Clippers at 28-23. They're 7-10 without LeBron. So I think, 7-10, that could easily probably be a lot better than that 17-game stretch with LeBron James. I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
I agree. And, they have some good wins during that span. They had that overtime win against Oklahoma City. They just beat who did they just beat last night?
The Lakers?
Yeah. I can't believe I'm blanking right now. But it was, another good win.
Well, they lost last night to the
they ended up
76ers, 121-105, but they beat the Suns the game before that.
But, I mean, Brandon Ingram looked good last night. Some of those guys have really shown out. Kyle Kuzma's looked good during this stretch without LeBron. There have been flashes from these guys, and I think they have to show that to try and stay on the team. Like I said, we'll get into that in a lot later. But, it's just going to get a lot better. Everything's going to work a lot better when LeBron's in there because that's just how LeBron teams work. They're built around
LeBron.
him. Yeah, it'd be like if Joel Embiid, speaking of that game last night, he took a scary fall, holding his back. They say he's fine now, but imagine if he goes out. What happens to the 76ers? They're probably going to be a lot worse.
Yeah, he dropped 28 last night.
Yeah,
did Joel Embiid. So
I mean, it hurts your team when you lose your best player, no matter who it is. So I would expect them to get back on the right side of winning. Hopefully, Luke Walton can keep his job for the rest of the season. What do you think? What do you think about that? Is Luke Walton going to last the rest of the season?
No.
You don't think so? How much longer do you give him?
Thursday? We'll see what happens in free agency.
Okay.
I think if they were somehow, which won't happen, able to land Anthony Davis, I think they keep him.
Okay.
Just to keep things going, but there's no way he makes it through the summer as the head coach of the Lakers.
Do you see him going back to Golden State as an assistant, getting a different head coaching job?
I don't think he's just not a head coach.
You don't think so?
I think
he is.
I don't think he's a head coach.
I think he could be.
I think in 15 years he can be.
Okay.
I just think he's too young right now. We're going to take a quick break and get into we're going to continue the Lakers stuff. That's what happens when you have LeBron James. He's returning to the lineup. Who else is going to be coming into that lineup in the weeks coming? So we'll be right back on One on One. You're watching One on One on Suddenlink Channel 1. So we'll be right back.
One on One is brought to you by Tinker Federal Credit Union. Visit facebook.com/TinkerFCU. While you're there for your family, we're there for you. Tinker Federal Credit Union. And OSU Communications. Not sure where to park? OSU Communications has got you covered with parking tips and bus schedule information. We'll be right back.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
Welcome back to One-on-One on Suddenly Channel 112. We're continuing our Lakers talk. Like you said, that's what you get when you have LeBron James on your team. So last year, Logan, everyone spent all season wondering where LeBron was going to go.
Right.
It was obviously is he going to stay in Cleveland or go out west? So with all that talk, it was a make or break moment for Magic Johnson. He fell flat on the Paul George stuff. Oklahoma City was able to retain PG-13, and so that was kind of a loss stamped on Magic Johnson. And then he lands LeBron, and people kind of seem to forget about that, although Paul George is having maybe the best year of his career.
Oh, yeah.
So Magic, pass-fail, he passed because he got LeBron. That was the ultimate goal. Is this a make-or-break situation? Because there's two things. He's got to get this coaching staff right, and that may be Luke Walton if you feel that way. So I want you to say, how's he going to handle the coaching situation, one, and two, if he doesn't get Anthony Davis, is it another fail for Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka?
So for the coaching deal, I think you got to let Luke Walton finish out the year. I think most of the guys on this team believe in him. He's been their coach for a number of years, and these guys have gotten better over the years. So I think they have some trust in him. I think you got to get rid of – I hate to bring up Rondo, but I feel like you got to get rid of Rondo. That's all I got to say about that. But as far as getting Anthony Davis, if that is a must. Like you said, missed out on Paul George. Could miss out on Kawhi Leonard by not trading for him last year. He could be going to LA, but to a different team in LA. He could be going to the Clippers. People change their minds. We saw it with Paul George. He chose Russell Westbrook. He chose Oklahoma City when all you heard whenever he was about to be traded was, I want to be a Laker. And Magic Johnson he didn't get fined for tampering with Paul George, but they investigated it, and he ended up getting fined for tampering by saying he wanted Giannis on the team. But you got to trade. You got to overpay for Anthony Davis right now because you're the only team in the market. Boston can't trade for him unless they include Kyrie in the deal, which I don't think they would do. Otherwise, they have to wait till the summer to get involved. And the Knicks have to see where their pick ends up to get involved. They're another team that's reportedly interested in getting Anthony Davis. I feel like if you're the Lakers, you got to be willing to part with Lonzo, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, any combination of those three guys. Like that just has to be the situation.
Well, you're looking at where they're at with Luke Walton, and this really wasn't a problem until they got LeBron James. But Magic, should he have made a move before LeBron James came? Kind of, once he said, I'm coming to LA, kind of consulted with LeBron. Because I was talking to Chris last night, and Chris was so anti-giving LeBron that much power. You have to, because otherwise he's not going to come to LA.
Yeah.
So you have to give him that power. He's worth the power. He's the greatest player of all time, at least in this generation. You just have to give LeBron what he wants.
Yeah, and I mean, it's worked, kind of. Like, you deal with a lot of off-the-court stuff, a lot of social media, this, that, or the other, but it works. He's won 3 championships, and you can win one in LA. And you know, you don't have a ton of years of LeBron playing like this left. You have to capitalize. You have to get as many guys that are ready to win right now as possible. And Anthony Davis is definitely one of those guys. Top 5 at the worst in the league, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
I mean, talent-wise, he is one of the best guys. He has one of the best skill sets. He hasn't had a ton of success, but he's been stuck in New Orleans. Drew Holiday's been his best teammate, and he hasn't been completely healthy as long as Anthony Davis has been there. And Anthony Davis himself was plagued with injuries early on in his career. I think he's kind of turned that around. He's been able to play in at least 75 games the past 2 years. I think he's got that under control. You gotta go all in. It doesn't matter if you have to lose all of your young guys, because what combination of those guys is going to be better than Anthony Davis? Is Kyle Kuzma better than Anthony Davis, or will he ever be?
No.
Is Brandon Ingram going to be or better than Anthony Davis right now?
He's going to be an all-star, but not to the he just doesn't have the athleticism that Anthony Davis does.
Will Lonzo Ball, will he even be an all-star? Will Lonzo Ball ever be an all-star?
Not in the Western Conference.
So I mean, you're giving up one guy that will be an all-star probably in Brandon Ingram. Kyle Kuzma, maybe on a good year, he could be an all-star. It's the same with Lonzo Ball. Maybe he could be an all-star on an off year if a lot of the guards leave the West and he really takes a step forward. But Anthony Davis is a perennial all-star. He's a guy that could win MVP. He's finished top 3 in MVP voting before. Why would you not go get that guy right now? You would look foolish if you did what you did with Paul George, say, we'll just wait, he'll come to us. And then he stays or goes somewhere else. People change their mind. You have to capitalize while people are wanting to be where you are. You have to capitalize on that.
So, you know, would you take this trade if you're the Pelicans? I'm going to not include Brandon Ingram.
Okay.
Would you take Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, Zubac, and 2 1s?
It depends on when those picks are. If I'm the Pelicans, I want those picks as far in the future as possible, because I don't want any of these guys. Like, I don't want LeBron and Anthony Davis to be playing on that team, because otherwise it's a high 20 pick. Like, you don't want that. And I don't know if I would take that.
Would you? So if you're sitting there, do you think the Pelicans, with Brandon Ingram's name is not on that card, they're rejecting it immediately? Because you're going to have to get more than Brandon Ingram,
right?
But he's going to have to be on that trading block because he's the best asset that I think the Lakers have to trade.
Yeah.
Obviously, their best asset is LeBron James, but,
but he's not.
They're not trading LeBron James,
right? I would take like if I could get 2 1s, Brandon Ingram, and maybe like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's contract, just so that's off the books, and
he makes $12 million.
He makes way too much money, and Josh Hart. If I could get that, like they could have Lonzo and Kuzma, they can keep that. If I can get Brandon Ingram to like 2023, 2024, something like that, those picks, Josh Hart and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I would consider that a win, because I shouldn't say win. The Pelicans can't win this trade. They can't win the trade with Boston. They can't win the trade with LA. They can't win the trade with the Knicks. They can't win. You're giving up Anthony Davis. You lose. If you trade Anthony Davis, you have lost. But you got to try and do as best you can. And I think that kind of sets them up the best going forward.
I think that, you know, the Lakers are just going to have to swallow their pride and picking Brandon Ingram, because you mentioned that small window that you have. If they have LeBron James, Brandon Ingram, and Anthony Davis, that's a scary matchup for anyone.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Lakers just have to deal Brandon Ingram while they can.
And you know, how sad can you really be if you get Anthony Davis? Like,
I mean,
how often does a guy this good become available for a trade?
Right, and if 10 years down the road, LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't going to be playing anymore and Brandon Ingram is, and say the Lakers win two or three titles with the LeBron James and Anthony Davis, no one's going to care how good Brandon Ingram is. No one's going to care.
Right.
So you just have to take that risk if you're Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka and just deal with it. I guarantee you Jeannie Buss is perfectly fine with dealing Brandon Ingram for Anthony Davis paired along LeBron James.
Yeah, For sure. I mean, you got to pull the trigger on stuff like this.
You mentioned that Caldwell Pope contract.
It's
$12 million, the second highest paid Laker on the roster, just obviously behind LeBron James, who makes close to $36 million a year. But that's a bad contract on the books. So that wouldn't be a bad one to move. Do you think if a deal gets done in the next 2 weeks, obviously it's down to 12 days now?
Yeah.
You would think it's probably just going to go until the summer.
Yeah. And that's what I would do if I'm New Orleans. I would start a bidding war. I would wait till the Knicks know what their pick is. Maybe it's the #1 overall pick. You got to wait till the Celtics Kyrie either walks or they restructure his deal so then they can trade for Anthony Davis. And I mean, I don't know who else would be in the mix. I feel like everyone wants to be in the mix. I feel like every team, even the Warriors, would be like, "Hey, I'd like to get that guy. Let's try and get Anthony Davis. Let's make a phone call."
Would anyone put it past them at this point?
I mean, reunite DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis, that'd be great.
You couldn't even put. You would have to leave an all-star out of the starting 5.
Yeah.
If you did that, which that won't happen. But if they had that would be Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins. A little loud in here, but
anyways, dump truck outside.
Anyways, we would have.
Oh my God.
You'd have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Klay.
I feel like you'd have to trade one of those.
You would have to. But hypothetically, that team, they would go 82-0.
Yeah.
They wouldn't lose. But there's a lot of things out there, Logan, that maybe the Lakers somehow get Klay. And Klay, LeBron, and Anthony Davis might be able to win you a title.
Yeah, especially if you take Klay off the Warriors. I mean, and I think the word is, Kevin Durant's probably going to leave. That's what everyone's saying. DeMarcus Cousins probably isn't going to stay. Then the Warriors are just Steph, Draymond Green, and some bench guys. Like, that's not a super team by any means.
Well, outside of their starting 5, they're really not that impressive anyways. So if you take Klay off that team, which may happen, he's a free agent next year.
I think he can opt out this year.
So there's some potential there.
Yeah.
But right now, the Lakers, I mean, they've got a lot of work to do, and I think LeBron knew that this wasn't going to be the year.
Right.
But, I mean, they're just thrown together. They're just super glued together right now, and that team needs to fall apart.
Yeah, Klay Thompson will be a free agent after this season. Or after next season.
So him and Anthony Davis technically will be free agents the same year, 2020.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly, there's a lot of potential out there. So really quickly, I know we kind of touched on it. Well, are you comfortable labeling LeBron James as a coach killer? Mike Brown.
Yeah.
David Blatt. Probably going to be Luke Walton. Really, the only guy he didn't go after
was Eric Spoelstra.
And Ty Lue, I mean, really, they had problems really, they were always battling, it seemed like. So, problems with Ty Lue, Mike Brown, Eric Spoelstra, the only guy that was really spared of that, and that's because I think Mike Riley and Dwayne Wade had Spoelstra's back.
Yeah, there's a good case for it. I wouldn't blame you if you said that, but you look at that list of names.
Not remarkable.
Not great coaches.
Not great
Mike
coaches.
Brown has been fired many times by many people. David Blatt we never really got to see. He was only in Cleveland for that year and change.
Well, you can find his EuroLeague tape on YouTube, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean he won a couple championships over there, but he was no superstar coach. And Luke Walton is kind of unproven. We'll have to see. I think he has a chance to be a good coach. You disagree, and that's fine. I totally understand where you're coming from, but it's not like he fired Pop. It's not like he got Pop or Brad Stevens or Phil Jackson or Larry Brown or one of these guys out of town. He's getting guys that have kind of proven to not be good head coaches.
Yeah, so I totally agree. So maybe label him that, maybe not, but he's
a bad coach killer.
That's true. Can't blame him on that one. We're going to come back and talk about everything that's going on in the UFC and get into Super Bowl week. You're watching One on One. We'll be right back.
One on One is brought to you by Oklahoma Christian University. Get your master's degree in accounting, business administration, theology, engineering, computer science, or cybersecurity from Oklahoma Christian University. Apply at oc.edu/grad. Oklahoma University is committed to offering the best graduate school experience we possibly can. Come learn and grow with us. And The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetableosu.com for more information. We'll be right back.
In my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
After him, there was a big, like a mosh pit on stage, and I think everybody was excited to see that. I remember Wes being like, you know, dude, we got this guy. Like, this is the kind of attitude we need, you know, and you know, Gronk has cut it loose, and I think everyone appreciates him. He's one of the most, you know, for as big and physical as he is, he's a gentle, you know, kind man, and he's an incredible football player.
Welcome back into One-on-One, Logan. You heard Tom Brady there, the greatest of all time there at Super Bowl week, talking about his tight end, Rob Gronkowski, because Gronk is, I mean, he's known as like a frat guy, a party guy, but he's also might be the greatest tight end of all time.
Yeah.
He may be playing his last game on Sunday. He's going to mull it over. I think it's time, win or lose, and I'm not saying that because I'm tired of it. He just doesn't seem healthy. He's still playing at a high level, but he needs probably to retire. And to his credit, a lot of these guys, with his attitude, you worry about the amount of money. It's well documented that Rob Gronkowski is very financially intelligent. So he's got every cent he's ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be over. This year was hard to watch. It just wasn't. It wasn't Gronk. Obviously, there's the fantasy aspect. He was terrible in fantasy this year. Thankfully, I did not draft him. Chris Notch did that for everyone else, saved us all that trouble. But it's kind of sad. It's kind of like watching – it's not like watching Dirk, because Dirk is obviously way older, and it's hard to watch Dirk run. We were talking about him earlier. It's hard to watch Gronk play because it's just not the same guy. They'll show him off in a couple of plays every game, but he's just not the same – kind of guy where he can go over the middle whenever he wants and just shed a bunch of tackles and do a Gronk spike in the end zone. That's just not, that's far gone. Like you said, I think he's probably the best tight end of all time, but it's over. It's time to go. He thought about it last year. Should have retired.
Well, like I said, he's still playing at a high level.
Right.
It's just the injuries have taken a toll on him, and it's blatantly obvious. And you just, I mean, he was hurt when he was drafted. I mean, he had back surgery. That's why he fell so much in the draft. He's never been healthy, and you have to wonder if Gronk's going to be able to walk in 5 years. I mean, seriously, the elbow, the knees, the back. I mean, he's had every injury imaginable, and I just think it's time to call it quits.
Right.
And it would certainly would make it easier if they, won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think we'll all remember him very fondly, but like you said, hopefully he doesn't have to wear that big elbow brace he wears in the game or just around every day.
I don't even know if he actually needs that. I just think when he gets down and breaks off in his route, he just gives a little elbow and sends people flying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, hopefully, win or lose, hopefully he can go out on a win. That's always nice when you get to go out on a win, but hopefully this is the last game.
Absolutely. Well, outside of, Super Bowl week being in Atlanta, or the Super Bowl being in Atlanta, there's a ton of news coming out of the city. Obviously, they had a snowmageddon, which was a half inch of snow, which closed schools and government offices, and it didn't even snow.
Meanwhile, the north is like at
negative
60.
Yeah. Chris's hometown, I was talking to him yesterday, it was like negative 45 last night.
Oh, my gosh.
That was the wind chill.
That's the temperature.
That's the temperature.
That's crazy.
But there's some sad news coming out of Atlanta because Mr. Falcon, Tommy Nobis, who was the first overall pick in 1966, was a linebacker for the University of Texas, and then went to play for the Falcons for 11 seasons. He passed away, Logan, and it doesn't sound like it is the worst case of CTE that doctors have seen. So it's an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
I read part of the article. You read the article. It was a sad story to read. They basically the doctors couldn't understand how he could even function with that many lesions on his brain.
Right, yeah, and you read the article and it kind of sounds like he couldn't really function that well towards the end. Yep. He seemed like a wonderful person, unfortunately passed away. It's just sad, and I mean, obviously I think the NFL's trying to improve this, but that just shows how dangerous this game can be. You read, he was a great public speaker throughout most of his life, but one day it just went away. One day he went up to speak at a funeral and garbled a bunch of words, and it didn't really make any sense. So this is one of the sadder stories. Obviously, it just shows the dangers of the game. Hopefully the NFL doesn't necessarily look at this and be like, we have to fix this, because obviously there's been things they should have been looking at for a long time. I think they're trying to fix it, but ultimately I just don't think football can avoid stuff like this.
Right, and now, I mean, I think for him it was different because, one, they didn't make a lot of money. People say that, well, you're getting paid now, so
they were not.
You can support your family, although you're probably still going to end up with CT. They didn't make a ton of money back then, and there wasn't a warning label.
Yeah.
But there's warning labels on alcohol and tobacco, and people still abuse them.
Yeah.
Now there's the warning label on football, and people still play it. Now they're making a little bit more money, but people are still getting CTE from high school injuries, from college injuries, when they don't make any money off of it. Are you going to start seeing more stories like this? Who's the next worst case they've seen?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be someone, and for it to be a big story, it'll probably have to be one of these guys that's on TV, and is a national figure that everyone really loves. I mean, there'll be another wave of this. There'll be another wave of guys that you're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. How could we let this happen? But I think that's just what has to happen. And I don't know if there's ever going to be a cure for this. I don't know if there'll ever be a way to surefire prevent it. But it's a question all of football's going to have to deal with for a long, long time.
Do you think the league should acknowledge this report?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if I feel like the league should mention something about his passing for sure. And I mean, I just don't know. He played such a long time ago. He played in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
It was a totally different time. Like you said, no one had any idea of any of this kind of stuff. And I feel like they have to acknowledge his passing and what he meant to. Obviously, the Atlanta Falcons will probably put out something about what he meant to the organization because he worked there long after he played there. So I don't know what else, because I mean the league didn't acknowledge any CTE stuff for a long time. So maybe they will, maybe they won't. I can't really say for sure whether I don't think they have to. I think it would be good if they did, but I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either, and I don't think they probably should, like you said, but I just don't see the league seeing any positive feedback from this. But it is what it is. It's a very sad story, but I think you're going to start seeing when these players from that generation really start to pass, you're really going to see more and more, because now families know to give brains up for testing. I mean, they're just not going to let it slide. So nor should they. But unfortunately, Tommy Nobis was the worst case of CTE that doctors had ever seen. So hopefully you don't see more of that, but I
feel like we will.
You're going to. So we'll switch it up from football really quick before our last segment, where we're going to focus on how the Rams are going to stop the Patriots, because on Monday we talked about how the Patriots are going to be able to stop the Rams. But out in Las Vegas, the Nevada State Athletic Commission suspended Khabib. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. Nurmagomedov, yeah, they'll try.
Nurmagomedov, yeah.
Something like that. But Khabib, who defeated Conor McGregor in that October bout, is suspended 9 months, fined $500,000 of his $2 million purse, so a quarter of his winnings taken away. McGregor suspended 6 months and $50,000. He can return on April 6th. And now Khabib says he's done with Vegas. But, Logan, their suspensions are retroactive. So it's from that 9 months from that date. So he can fight in July. And like I said, McGregor can fight in April with that 6 month suspension. But now Khabib says he's done with Vegas for the overreaction to his actions. I don't think anyone overreacted.
I agree. And I don't blame him, because, I mean, does he really deserve? I think they should have just given out equal suspensions. I would have been fine with both of them getting 9. I would have been fine with both of them getting 6. I do have a problem with them giving Conor less, just because I think you have to look at the build-up to it. I think you have to look at what Conor did before, and you have to take all of that kind of stuff into account. All the stuff he said in the press conferences, all that kind of stuff. I'm certainly not condoning the way Khabib's team reacted to that and all that kind of stuff. Like, that was totally out of line. But I don't know. I don't blame him for being done with Vegas. I wouldn't have been mad if he had just said, I'm done with the UFC. Because the UFC, obviously, they know they're a business. They know Conor's the draw. They're going to treat him better.
If Khabib says, I'm done with the UFC, no one cares.
Right.
No one cares. He's a dominant fighter, but no one cares.
Right.
When TJ Dillashaw loses, that hurts the UFC. They didn't want to see Henry Cejudo win.
Yeah.
Because no one cares about Henry Cejudo. The Dillashaw is a trash talker, and he's a winner. They want to see him win. They didn't like it when Ronda Rousey lost, and they don't like it when Conor McGregor loses. But the problem is not the UFC handing out suspensions here. It's the Nevada State Athletic Commission. And as soon as Khabib went over the octagon and went into the crowd, that's a big no. You can't put spectators in danger. And that's why he got such a severe penalty.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. I just think they should have been – I just think it should have been equal. I think both of these guys should have gotten a similar punishment, whether it's 9 or 6 or the fine or whatever. And I understand it's not the UFC, it's the Nevada State Athletic Commission. But the UFC basically has not an interest in that, but they have an interest in the UFC being there. They bring a lot of money there. Mm-hmm. So they kind of share – I feel like they share interest in who gets what and that kind of thing. It is what it is. I think the UFC is a joke of an organization. I think they're run terribly. I think Dana White is one of the worst, I guess.
Executives.
I was about to say, I guess executives. It's probably like Roger Goodell, then Dana White on the short list of the worst.
What do Dana White and Roger Goodell have in common?
They're almost, they love money.
They both make their businesses a ton of money.
They do. But I just don't like the way Dana White goes around, and he almost does the opposite of Roger Goodell. He goes out and talks too much. He'll go out and say anything, and it's not even necessarily true.
Isn't that a part of the fight game, though?
It is, and for better or worse, it is. I guess it might help. It obviously helps bring in money. Otherwise, he wouldn't do it. But I feel like it's not good for the sport, like the actual sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could agree with that. I probably don't dislike him as much as you do, but I certainly understand where you're coming from because he talks.
It's turning into like the real version of the WWE.
A real fighting game. Well, we're going to take a quick break, come back, and talk about how the Rams can stop the Saints on Sunday. You're watching One-on-One, Suddenlink Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about how to get 100% college tuition. And Unitarian Universalist Church. If you're looking for a church home, visit Unitarian Universalist Church of Stillwater, located at 320 South Stallard Street. They offer an alternative spiritual path and welcome all races, religions, and beliefs. They're also LGBTQ friendly. Services every Sunday at 10:30. We'll be right back.
Stillwater Medical Center now offers a convenient way to view your health information online. It's secure, easy, and free. Our hospital and clinic patient portals allow you to view results and reports, medications and allergies, track visit histories, view upcoming appointment information, and see your statements. To enroll, go to stillwatermedical.com and click on the patient portal link near the top right of the page. If you have questions, please feel free to call 405-533-6010.
We've been able to play the game on our terms, which is important, and that includes, being able to run it and throw it kind of on our terms. Our line has done an incredible job all year, but we got our biggest test of the year coming up. So they got playmakers on offense, defense, special teams. They've had 5 return for touchdowns on defense, and special teams are very explosive on all, in every phase of the game. And you just can't relax for 1 second, or else they're going to make a play that's going to change the game. So it's a big test of mental toughness and a lot of will and determination. It's going to take a lot to get the job done.
Welcome back into One-on-One on Southern Channel 112. It is Super Bowl week, as we keep saying. You heard Tom Brady there. How are the Rams going to go about stopping the Patriots?
Before I mention that I don't know why, but that video just made me laugh. It looked like Tom Brady was like 4 feet tall talking to that guy. I just thought that was funny. So, how are the Rams going to stop the Patriots? You got to not let Tom Brady throw those little short dink and dunk passes and control the clock.
Yep.
I mean, you got to be able to disrupt either the receivers or him. You got to either get Aaron Donald out there, or Aqib Talib has to throw some guys off some routes, or something like that. You got to be able to make it to where they can't just do what they do and win Super Bowls with the dink and dunk kind of mentality. That's going to be way harder to do than what I just said. I mean,
yeah, people have. It seems like an easy thing to stop, but people haven't been able to stop it for 19 years.
Right. And, you got a guy on the Rams, Brandon Cooks. He was there last year with the Patriots, went to the Super Bowl, but obviously he got a concussion in that game, right, early on.
Right.
And he wasn't able to play the whole game, obviously, but he kind of knows the system. He knows what they like to do. I don't know if he'll be able to provide enough insight to help stop them, but you gotta try something. You gotta try something that obviously the Chargers didn't do it. The Chiefs couldn't do it just because of their personnel. They just didn't have the defense there. The Rams, I feel like, have the talent there to be able to disrupt Tom Brady and maybe Julian Edelman, maybe not just let him run those little slant routes all the time and get 6 yards or whatever on those. And I think you got to know what running backs out there. The Chargers obviously didn't do this. If Sony Michel's out there, they're going to run the ball. They're not going to throw it to him in the backfield. If James White's out there, he's going to catch a pass. They're not going to hand it off to him. I think you got to know the personnel that's out there, and you got to be able to disrupt Tom Brady's rhythm.
Well, I think you make an excellent point with Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald. If you can get Brady off the spot, he's inaccurate and he gets flustered. No matter how good a quarterback is, if there's pressure,
it's hard.
It's hard to win a Super Bowl. It's hard to win a game. when you're being flustered like that, being rushed. And Brady is not overly mobile,
right?
If anyone hasn't noticed. But the contrary to that is the Patriots always have max protection.
Exactly.
They always protect in the biggest moments really well. So I think that, if they can stop Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, that's all that they really need to do to have success against the Rams.
Yeah.
Because although they have Aqib Talib in that secondary, I think Marcus Peters is going to be playing way over emotional.
Yeah.
And if they can attack him, if they can expose that secondary a little bit for the Rams, the Patriots are going to have a lot of success.
Right. I mean, like you said, I think Marcus Peters is going to be – he's going to play himself out of – I think he's going to play himself out of the game. He's going to try and make too many big plays. He's going to get burnt. He's going to give up big plays. I feel like he could really hurt the Rams in the end. But, I mean, this is the biggest game of most of these guys' careers, obviously. Obviously Aaron Donald, but especially Ndamukong Suh. Because for the first time in his career, he's not getting the double teams. That's Aaron Donald.
Which is scary.
Right. So I'm not really looking for Aaron Donald to have, multiple sacks this game. I'm looking for Ndamukong Suh to do that. Because they're going to be worried about Aaron Donald. You gotta make yourself known if you're Ndamukong Suh. Because he's on a 1-year deal. He's trying to get his next contract.
Right.
Make yourself known. This is the biggest game of your entire life. I think he has to capitalize. I think if he can get to Brady, I think he's going to have an easier time, obviously, than Aaron Donald. He has to get to Brady. He has to be that guy that throws him off the spot.
Absolutely. And if they can do that, I think it's like I said, it's easier said than done. And a lot of people have tried to do it. You said the Chargers have probably one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Couldn't get to it. The Chiefs have a good front four, nothing else on that side of the ball that's good, but even they couldn't get pressure on him. So we'll have to see what the Rams are able to do. Their secondary, as I mentioned, Nickel Roby-Coleman, who wasn't called for that, that ghost call that wasn't called.
Do you think they're going to, the refs aren't going to retaliate, but do you think they're going to be watching him extra close because of that?
Well, I mean, no, not really, because it wasn't his fault.
Right.
He admitted he was trying to get the penalty because he didn't want to give up the touchdown. So, it's one of those things. But he did the dumbest thing I think anyone can do.
Yeah.
He took shots at Tom Brady. He said...
It's not a smart move.
Oh.
That doesn't usually work out very well.
He said age has taken a toll on Tom Brady, and then he backtracked it. You're sitting there, he said his words were taken out of context. How do you take that out of context?
I'm trying to think. It's pretty much in context. I mean, I don't know why guys keep thinking that they can talk about Tom Brady like this and he's not going to file it away forever.
I mean, age has definitely taken a toll on him.
Yeah.
For him to still be doing it, that's a great compliment for him, but I think he's definitely not the quarterback he was. Movement, speed, velocity, arm strength, he can still sling it, but he's not slinging it as much. Whatever he was doing because of age and all that, he's not doing it as much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady would make stuff up to get himself motivated. That's the kind of guy he is. He will he would take it out of context if he needed to.
Well, he handled it like a pro when he was asked about it.
Of course he did. It's Tom Brady.
No comment. But you really don't think that Tom Brady listens to that and uses that as motivation? I mean, they played themselves up to be underdogs. They act like winning the AFC Championship was the greatest thing because no one believed in them. Everyone believed in them. Everyone. 78,000 people in Arrowhead believed in them. I mean, seriously? Why? If I'm Sean McVay or I'm Aqib Talib, I am walking into that locker room and getting right in Roby-Coleman's face. Why? Why would he do this? And it even looks worse now that he's trying to backtrack it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to say it, say it. I mean, stick with it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you saying that it was taken out of context and trying to walk it back, that doesn't change how Tom Brady looks at it. So what's the point? I don't know. We'll see. Nick Foles was able to beat Tom Brady and the Patriots last year in the Super Bowl. What chance do you give the Rams?
They have a really good chance. I mean, I think in most games the Patriots play, I don't think they ever have the best roster. They really don't. I mean, they're never athletically the best team. They weren't against the Chargers, they weren't against the Chiefs, and they won't be against the Rams. But my rule, I've told you this, Logan, Alabama lost the national championship game. The Yankees have lost in the World Series. It happens. The Warriors lost in the finals. But when you've got the greatest of all time doing it, when the Yankees are in the World Series, when the Warriors are in the finals, Alabama's in the national championship game, I'm always taking the more experienced, the veteran team that has been there before, that's shown they can win titles.
Right.
That's not definite that I'm picking them to win. I'm just saying, if I'm a betting man, it may not work out, but gut instinct is always you're going to give it to the GOAT quarterback and the GOAT coach who have done it 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. What did you think? Did you see the story about Sean McVay and Bill Belichick have been texting back and forth all season and stuff like that?
Yeah, I know Apple's got that new FaceTime hack.
You think Sean McVay's been hacking?
No, I think Bill Belichick's been hacking Sean McVay.
True. That's true. I guess I should have picked the team that cheats to cheat.
He doesn't strike me as a texting guy.
That's true.
Can you imagine Bill Belichick using emojis?
No.
I mean,
I also couldn't imagine him FaceTiming, though. Or even knowing how that works.
I imagine he just had like a flip phone.
Yeah, he's probably waiting for an email call on a flip phone or something. He's waiting for that.
Tom Brady had flip phones, but it's because they were all burners to the ball boy on how to deflate the footballs.
Yeah, and how to get that film from practice.
Tom, turn over your cell phone. Which one?
Yeah.
I'll give you 8, but I won't give you the one with the evidence on it. It's destroyed. I mean, it's just weird to think that Bill Belichick would be texting people. It is kind of a cool story.
Yeah.
But conspiracy theories run rampant when it comes to the Patriots. So Brandon Cooks, I don't know if you saw this, he's paying for the team custodian and his son to go out to the Super Bowl. You know, flights covered, hotel, all the amenities.
I thought that was really cool.
Brandon Cooks is a good guy.
Stand-up guy, yeah.
You like to see those stories. Deshaun Watson remodel his mom's home. You like to see guys with these platforms, you know, do good for other people.
Yeah.
Puts the NFL in a positive light. Well, we've got a fun show ahead of us on Friday. We're going to be doing a lot of prop bets and really dissecting the Super Bowl matchup between the Patriots and Rams. We will see you on Friday. Thank you for watching One on One. We'll see you then.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
Cash Prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.